What's up YouTube? Welcome to this new time lapse of EU4. Before we get into it, just a little thank you for the support and the interest in the Ottoman wall conquest time lapse that I did a few days ago. Well, obviously it's a wall conquest, it's going to bring more eyes, but hey, it's been doing pretty good. Channel's growing, all awesome. Let's get into it. So this was a VIjaynagar run. One of my concept run where I focus on one of the stats and push it to the max to see the effect of that stat. And in this case, it's vassal contribution. Before I get into the details of how we stacked it, the explanation of why I went for that, I did it in the past a while ago. It was meh, but then they changed subjects, how subject works for force limit contribution a few patches ago. I think it was in Dharma. But anyway, it used to be that vassals would give you +1 force limit no matter what their size were, and if they were a marsh, they would give you 2, right? But now it's based on development, and marshes basically doubles the value. Now, I was planning in the start to use 5 marshes and go ham with that, but the point is, for a long time the subjects were in India. I wanted India to form Barath, and then after that I just snowballed and it didn't matter much. Now, I don't have a subject to show the details, but at some point we had out of 200 force limit, 140 were from subjects. It was insane. The reason is we stacked vassal force limit contribution. So the main source of it is obviously influence, the finisher of influence. If that's all you have, this is basically doubling what the subjects gives you, right? But then you can stack it up, each 100% adding your base. Now it's all 100%, there's no different values anywhere, so it just stacks 100%. Sources, government reforms, ideas, and policies. Now, the only idea that gives it is influence here in terms of idea groups. There might be national ideas, but the point of VIjaynagar as a confirmed government reform, which is the Ankara system, which gives vassal force limit contribution and some manpower. So we went with this. Also, this is not exactly a link to the force limit thing, but the Ankara system also leads you to a tier 2 and a tier 4 policy, well, reform, different reform. And part of polygars would gives you 5% def cost reduction in infantry compatibility 10%. This basically replaces the curtail thing, so it's not this is free really. Usually you'd curtail or you'd strengthen the nobles, but the manpower you can live without it. You have it here, and this is 10% taxes, who cares? So this is pretty damn great, especially if you're playing tall. Doesn't show, but we were playing tall for a while. And then the tier 4 is the big one, is the 5% discipline. Also gives you more influence and loyalty with the Marathas. Marathas are basically the replacement of the nobles, but they give you tradition instead of manpower. Also, when you get that reform here, it replaces the recruit minister for a general. It still says recruit minister, but you get a general, authority tradition general with +1 extra shock, which is pretty nice. You still have... Okay, the normal general is removed, so... But it's a general +1 shock, is pretty good. So, we started with VIjaynagar, as I said. A lot of our expansion was based off... Diplo annexation, so Diplo vassalization and then annexing them, which was pretty cheap because of influence with the 25% here, influence admin, which gives another 20% here, which we don't have anymore because we don't have subjects anymore, and we also had a parliament, which very often, as long as you have 2 vassals, you always get the debate to reduce by 15% the cost of annexations. I remember that if you have a parliament and you don't have the debate you want, either to colonists for colonizers, the machinery for conversions, the annexation cost here for subjects, whatever. If you're looking for a specific debate and you don't get it, and you know that you have the prerequisite to get it, you can always let them untick, and at every tick, much of the tick, you'll get a new choices of debate, so eventually you'll get it. Alright, so we did play VIjaynagar for a long time. Main reason is all this, well, Okay, I went a bit further than the missions, but Vijaynagar has special missions for Malacca and for East Africa. East Africa is pretty simple. It's giving you Mogadishu at first, Mogadishu, Zanzibar, and Mombasa. And then once you have those three, you get a mission for like the coast here. And I went a bit deeper than that because I wanted full control over the Gulf here. Not that I'm trading in the Gulf, but controlling the Gulf means less people pulls Persia. And then for Malacca, you start with this state. I claim on this state. This one is the hard one because it's a tributary of Ming. But in my case, Malacca lost tributary status, so that one easy. And then after that, the rest is basically all of Malacca. I didn't finish it. As you can see here, main reason is Malacca is currently allied to the Ottomans and guaranteed by Spain. Could have done it, I have the strength for it, but didn't feel like it. As you can see, we're finishing the run 1701. I've basically done everything I could do. Ming has been nurtured, and the Ottomans would beat them at least once. So, again, one of those runs that I know I've done what I could do. So the verdict on vassal contribution for vassals. If you get all your 5 slots as vassals and you stack up vassal contribution, the main sources are the government type, influence, and then you'll get influence economic, which will give you this one, vassal obligations. And then you have, if you take aristocratic, in our case, which we did, we also have autonomous estates, which is another 100%. The only other source in policy is autocratic, but that will require you to basically either be a republic or become plutocratic here, which would remove this, so it's kind of relevant. The only way you'd get both is do this, start plutocratic and come back. That's 20 corruption. Wasn't exactly worth it. But that's an idea out there if you really want to go crazy. So at the start, it's insane. I'm thinking expelled. That thing when eclipsed. Sorry, we eclipsed Ming like in 1520, and we were touching them for a long time. So basically, because you have your manpower, you have your troops, you have your subjects' troops. And then your subjects are giving you a crap ton of force limit, which you can afford at Vijaynagar because you're in India. And you control the trade pretty well, especially east. So I would suggest going east first. In our case, we also got a bit lucky, so you might not be able to go that fast. Pretty hard the way we did it, because first Bengal fell to one province, we diplo-vassalized it, we conquested it. Then Sindh fell to one province, he had conquered a bunch of stuff, so we conquested it. Then Delhi fell to one province, and Delhi starts with a bunch of cores all over the place. And it's the main tag of Indivi, I think. Whatever the... Yeah, Indavi. It's the main tag of Indavi, so it doesn't lose those, so we conquested all of that. There was another guy too. I don't remember who. Those who watch the run, well, we'll maybe see it when we go in. So yeah, at some point, with like a 250 dev Delhi, which with 500 for so the 500 force limit contribution, so the base for 100 from influence, 100 from the government, and the 2 policies, was giving us over 60 force limit. Keep in mind, then they also have their 40-50 that they had, and then they give you an extra 50. It's insane, as long as you can pay for it. That's the thing. So much force limit contribution, if you can't afford it, it's kind of irrelevant. But if you have the money, then it's pretty insane. So I'll go with Timelapse, just for those who are interested. It's not exactly relevant for the principle of force limit contribution. We just started diplo-vassalizing these. Mainly because we could. This we fed to Koti and then we ate it. One thing, you start with an alliance with Andhra, dropped it on the first day just to get 4 vassals right away, and 5 once we had influence. So just went full on subjects. The only thing we did in the start is get our 3 cores from Bahmanis and break his alliances. Then we went in, focused everything on Bahmanis as much as we could in terms of conquest. The rest, everything else, is subjects, while Andhra was conquered too. We took 1 province here because of mission, And Mysore we had to conquer because you start with cores on Mysore, so you can't diplovassalize it. We'll eventually take the Maldives for culture, uniting our culture, because this is in the same culture group. It's not relevant for missions, but it was for an age thing to unite your culture. As you'll see, everything else is just... everything is diplovassalization. Except missions. So this was done way earlier than missions. Then eventually we'll form Bharat when we're done with the missions. Realize that you keep your claims on Malacca. One thing, if you're VIjaynagar, you get claims on Malacca after you do this state, as I said. Usually when you tag switch away from someone that has permanent claims from missions, you lose, those claims become normal claims. But it's not the case for the Malacca claims. The reason for this, I would believe, I'm not sure 100% is because of that, but Bharat also has a mission for Malacca at some point in the right branch. So I guess they keep the claims, even though we didn't have that mission. So that's why I'm not sure it's that. So eventually we'll annex Bengal, and then that's where we're gonna start, like, not using subjects anymore. Delhi is going to be a subject soon. It's going to fall to this one province here, and then we'll reconquest the whole thing. Yeah, the main thing here, the main problem until we add the aristocratic, is manpower. The main problem in India is manpower because of the monsoons and a bunch of jungles. Sieges are super costly in manpower. It's annoying, really. Like jungles were already painful to siege, and then they added the monsoons. Bad monsoons creates attrition and reduces supply limit. So, yeah. But pretty good run. Already super strong here. It's only 1560. But yeah, you'll see the 1600s were going to go insane. Because at this point, we have double the force limit of the Ottomans. Now, the Ottomans was pretty slow to go anywhere. But still, it's pretty strong here. We took this. Tibet was our subject. We annexed it. The point to have a border on Ming. If you can have a border on Ming and you have more force limit than them, always do it. Especially if you're big, your development is going to be counted against his mandate, and then we'll just let him decay. Eventually he's gonna fall to 0. I thought it was gonna blow up because he didn't take humanist, but he didn't. But still, it makes the army super easy to fight. That was Sindh's annexation. Delhi is our subject at this point. That's why you saw it grow back. This is when Delhi is giving us like 50 something force limit. So yeah, the main reason, also Ajuran, oh, that's the other guy. Ajuran had fell to like 5 province here, and then all of this was reconquest. That's the other guy I was thinking about for reconquest. Tibet was 2, but I didn't finish him. He had claims here, but I don't like fighting tributaries. I know there's a strategy to just fight a tributary of Ming to lower the truce to 5 years and then go back to Ming. I just don't like fighting Ming multiple times in a row because I like to take their money. Well, if you're in a run when they don't have mercenaries, so that's one thing to explain a bit about Ming. That's if you have Mandate of Heaven. That's how the mandate works differently if you don't. If you have Mandate of Heaven, the mandate how it works is if they have less than 50 mandate, they start having a modifier which is available mercenaries, a negative value to available mercenaries. So if they don't have any other sources available mercenaries, once they rule G war, they don't have mercenaries. They'll keep the mercenaries they have, but once you wipe them, they can't hire anymore. So unless they have available mercenaries, so if they take admin, there's a policy in espionage, but they rarely take that. It's usually admin. It used to be also quantity, but in Dharma, quantity was changed. The available mercenaries from quantity was changed into supply limit. So now quantity is not a problem. Well, it still means he has 400 force limit, but in terms of mercenaries, it's not a problem. It's only admin if they take admin. They take it often because they are lacking states in the start, so the AI might be triggered to take something that gives them states. For some reason, they don't take expansion, even though they need to colonize, but that's besides the point. That was just the point. The point was just that if you look at their ideas and they don't have admin, basically, then you know that if you wipe their army and their manpower, they can't come back from it. So we're just clearing up. Now Barat has missions. That's why you saw. That's what you saw. Missions for all of Burma, all of Malacca, and South. Well, it's really the Indochina, but it's just Indochina has Ming has a few provinces in Indochina, and then all of Persia. First is Khorasan. You'll see a big chunk leaving here, and then that mission leads into Persia. Now we didn't finish that one because the Ottomans had these three provinces, which are Persian. In the end, I didn't, like, again, I was more ready to drop the run and do something else rather than just fighting the Ottomans for third province to finish a mission. That's the Khorasan mission. We finished Indochina eventually. No, actually we didn't, because the Ottomans had a province here that I did again. This is pretty much it. 1701 is when I finished the run. So yeah, for early start push in the right position, so where you can diplo-vassalize a bunch of stuff. You can do it with forcing vassal, but the whole point to me to have vassals is to be able to expand without aggressive expansion. It's pretty great in India especially. Also, another thing is that it's kind of easy because for I always have Dharma when I say that. Hindus have Ganesha, which gives well, I don't use it anymore, but the one of the god is Ganesha, which would give +1 dip rep, makes it easier to diplo vassalize. And in India, the aggressive expansion is pretty insane, especially if you're Hindu, because, well, everybody else is the different religion, especially in the north. So it's pretty good to be able to expand diplomatically, and there's a bunch of small tags, so it's pretty easy. Yeah, do it your own way. But this is it. Also, ideas. So why I focused on this line of ideas? We went economic basically because of points, because my first ruler, well, okay. Vijaynagar, the start, not at the start, but in the first 20-30 years, we'll get an event. It's a guaranteed event that you get a general. The event gives you a choice between, like, it gives you a 3-star general, but then there's options to not have it. The thing is, if you take him, you're guaranteeing a revolt. And I tried to just fire him, like take him and then fire him, but it still triggers the revolt. He tries to take over the country. I just let him. In my case, he had good stats. If he doesn't, I guess it's different. But he had good stats, so the best thing you could do is take him, use him to fight your wars, and eventually he takes over the country, and you just let him win. So there's that. Why was I explaining that? Oh yeah, it's because the ruler before him had 0 diplomacy for a long time. So this is why I didn't go straight to influence. Otherwise, I would have taken influence first. But also with, like, you have 4 or 5 annexations and you're always annexing something, it slows down your diplo points. So we take economic first because, well, the first policy, as I said earlier, is vassal applications. So we were aiming for that. Also, economic in India is pretty insane. Also, I knew that I would need a good income. I was afraid that I would get the force limit from the subjects and then not be able to use it. Wouldn't have been a problem without economic first. Just help to actually have income. And again, as I will always say, to deal with the economy late game, what matters, those who have problems dealing with the economy late game, that like always have like a lack of money, is because of the early game. In the early game, what matters when you fight big tags is, instead of just taking 100% war score of land, take the 25% score of tribute on the big tags and their war operations, and then take land. Just advance a bit, take their money, turn that money into buildings. Once you build a base of temples and workshops and the good manufactories, the earlier you build those, the earlier they snowball, the earlier they pay back them. They pay back the investment you put on them, and then they just make money for the rest of the game. So economic helps on that, first because it makes more money, but that makes your your buildings cheaper. Also, it helps with institutions because the development cost is heavily reduced. It's 20 here and it's all the 5 here, so you have 25% reduction plus PERS, plus treaty, plus edict, etc. So development was extremely cheap. Just right now, granted it's the late game with development efficiency, but as you can see, a 10 dev is 15, so pretty cheap. So economic influence for the policy, then aristocratic influence again for the policy. This helps also in manpower, for what I was explaining with jungles. Also, our army is so big that, well, it helps in 2 ways. Sorry, you have the manpower here, but also because your sieges will be faster, because of the leader siege +1. You're going to siege less, which makes the jungles less annoying. Then admin. Don't remember if that was admin. Well, admin and influence is for annexations, so that helps a lot here. But also we were reaching a point that admin was starting to be interesting. Then we were starting to have problems eventually. Well, I wanted diplomatic to annex even faster. And then we were starting humanist here because of rebels. At this point we don't have that many, but like it's basically these 4 that makes the unrest go away, pretty much. And we're expanding way too fast to convert anything at this point. Religious could be interesting for Hindus because you have a god that also gives you +2 missionary strength. But that's besides the point. So yeah. Verdict. Vassal force limit contribution is pretty insane now. Would be even better if I kept marshes. So I'm way beyond my territories right now. So if I wanted to use it, I could make marshes. I think I just want to pause 5 seconds and someone wants to marry me. Anyway. But yeah, try it. It's pretty fun. Not only for your force limit, but you have like a vassal swarm. Like I had 100k from vassals at some point. Alright, that's going to be it for now. At this point right now, I'm doing a double run for England, colonial England, to make a direct comparison with limiting other factors as much as I can between going full colonial nations and then going full trade companies for colonization. We're going to take the same exact ideas, the same exact land in Europe, and yeah, the only difference will be where we colonize. And the idea is that we don't take a single trade company province during the colonial nation run, and then the other way, we're not going to colonize anything in the New World. We're in the middle of the colonial nation one right now, and then after that we'll do the other one. So this is going to be uploaded probably both at the same time in the same run, so it's going to be 2 runs in one. Maybe I have to edit a bit, so maybe I'll do 2 videos and make the full comparison to the second one. We'll see how it goes. If you want to see a bit of how Europe happened. Only Spain was really annoying. I kicked out Portugal pretty early. Portugal was in India at some point. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for the video. Run a bit too long. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube if you're interested in more content. Drop a like, thumbs up. That really helps for the exposure of the videos. Want to grow the channel to grow? Thumbs up, subscribe. Also, you can follow on Twitch. I'm there like 12 hours a day. Always usually playing EU4. Soon Imperator Rome. But EU4 for now. Have a good one. Bye-bye.